As you know, we supported the bill at second reading and generally don't have any problems with what's in the bill. I think our bigger concerns are what's not in the bill. Kind of following up on my colleague's line of questioning relating to new home construction. I appreciate there's other legislation that covers new home construction. One issue that, in particular that has been of concern in Orleans, and I know it's been of concern in the GTA, I've heard the Premier speak about it, is the situation where a developer will sell a unit either in a condo or in a subdivision and then proceed not to construct that unit for years on end. The client then has effectively left their deposit out in limbo, hanging there without collecting interest, and the developer will then go on and cancel the contract 2 or 3 years later. Obviously, the market conditions have changed, mortgage rates have changed, the cost of the home has changed, and the future homeowner hasn't had the opportunity to make any interest or capital gains on their deposit. And so that is an issue that the government said that they would address. I don't know that it has been addressed, and so I'm wondering why it wasn't included in this particular bill, and do you have plans to bring a bill forward to address that kind of situation?
Well, I thank the independent member through you, Chair, for the question. So this Consumer Protection Act is dealing with transactions that are not specifically in relation to new homes. We already have legislation with respect to new homes, and we already have an administrative authority, Tarion, that deals with freehold homes, new homes in that regard. The legislation, as I've indicated, is the New Home Construction Licensing Act and the Ontario New Homes Warranties Plan Act, and the regulations contained under those acts. So if I may finish, Chair, so and there are regulations under that act, and there's an administrative authority. The member indicated 2 types of home purchases. Condominiums are the subject of trusts. So when a deposit is put down on a new condominium unit, the deposits are held in trust and accordingly protected. Whereas with freehold, although there's no trust associated with the deposit, there is the compensation fund through Tarion, and that deposits up to $100,000 per home purchaser are protected and refunded to the consumer, despite the fact that there is not a trust in place, as with the case with condominium units. So that the 2 types of purchases are different and have different protections associated with them, but protections nevertheless, Chair.
Yeah, Minister, I'm aware of the regulatory and legislative environment, and thank you for educating the rest of the committee about that. The question was very specific, however. The Premier has indicated himself that he feels that this is an issue. He said so on live television. We've got the recording of it. It is clearly a live issue. It's not a matter of the deposits being protected. It's a matter of the fact that if you have your deposit sitting in the bank account of a home builder for 2 or 3 years, you as the future purchaser are not benefiting from that deposit. And then to have your contract canceled 3 years later, when mortgage rates are double, when home values are up 10, 15, 20%, your purchasing power with that deposit has declined significantly, and you've blown through 2 or 3 years worth of rent. So the question is, do you plan to bring forward legislation or regulation that will give Tarion or HICRA the authority to stop that practice from happening and provide compensation to those potential homeowners when that does happen? There was a case in Orleans where Ashcroft Homes, one of the worst builders in Ottawa, had a subdivision, took deposits. 3 years later, they canceled those contracts, and then within weeks put those lots back on the market. That's crazy. That's crazy that that's allowed to happen, and there are always gaps in legislation. You're aware of that gap. The Premier is aware of that gap. My question is, are you planning to do something about it?
Well, through you, Chair, to the independent member, you know, it's a concern for everyone. The dream of home ownership should never, ever become a nightmare for any individual, couple, or family. And when it comes to new home deposits, we are...
That's all the time that we have. We'll now turn to the government side.